Hello, everybody. I'm Megan Graham, and I decided to do this video today. It is so off of my usual content, but if you have been watching anything about the Hair by Chrissy drama, I've been watching it, and I actually lived through it myself, which is almost embarrassing to share. If you don't know about me, I was in the hair business for 24 years. I was a two-time Best of Boston award-winning colorist. I owned my own Newbury Street Salon for over 12 years. And so here's my story. I went to Hair by Chrissy 3 years ago, and I actually never made a review. The experience itself was so shocking and so like nothing I've ever seen. I've trained to be a hair colorist. I trained all over the world. I trained in various US cities. I trained abroad. I worked for hair care companies. They flew me out to train people. I never saw anything like what I saw when I got my hair done there. And so recently, I started to see that people were actually talking about it, and I was fascinated by it because I figured that I couldn't be the only one that had had an experience like this. So if you haven't seen it, I'm probably eventually going to actually edit this video, change it up a little bit, and put in some photos so you guys can actually see what it was like when I went in there. But basically, here is the thing. I saw lovely, lovely young lady. She looks like she's about 19 years old, sharing her experience. And she was so sweet how she shared it. I mean, she was just so gentle. She was just sharing her experience. And she got her hair done by Hair by Chrissy. Well, she booked an appointment with Hair by Chrissy and, didn't have a good experience, didn't get her hair done by Chrissy, which also makes me question why call it Hair by Chrissy if you're not the one doing the hair. So anyway, I was inspired by watching her video. She was so sweet, and I feel like she's just been getting eaten alive by people bullying her and things like that. So I figured as a person that's been a hair colorist for 24 years that people flew in to see me from all over the country. Of course, I did celebrities' hair. Of course, I did well-known people's hair, but I have class, so I don't actually mention who they are because that's not, to me, something that you do, at least in Boston. But anyway, so I've been in the industry. I've employed, many, many people. I've trained other top hair colorists, and here's the thing. I went and got my hair done by Hair by Chrissy, and I don't think Hair by Chrissy ever actually knew who she had sitting in her chair because she didn't speak to me for more than 60 seconds. She wasn't in my vicinity for more than 60 seconds. The entire appointment was mind-blowing. All right, so here's how it happened. First of all, I spent years and years with my own super luxurious, and by the way, super expensive. So I have no problem with expensive prices. Regularly, people left my salon regularly over $1,000. Yes, you could be paying $3,000 for extensions, but we told people, sorry, there's some kind of construction that has to be happening right outside of my window right now. We told people, and if somebody booked an appointment with me, guess what? I did the hair. I didn't have my assistant do the hair. I didn't have somebody else just like finish it or do half the work. If you booked with Megan did your hair. That's how it works. That's how it works normally, right? That's just how it works. So I have my salon in Boston. I lived in Boston for over 24 years, for 26 years. So of course, my actually a close friend of mine who was an award-winning salon or award-winning stylist did my hair for 26 years. Great stylist. She won awards from Allure magazine, which, by the way, I was thinking today, has Chrissy won any awards? I'm just curious because most of the people that are charging a lot of money, they've actually won awards, or it's just kind of an interesting thing. Food for thought. But anyway, so I had somebody doing my hair for 26 years. My hair was super long, super healthy. It was perfect every time. Her name is Joanna Howell-Giroux. She still is working in Boston. She does a beautiful, beautiful job with color. Excellent. Well, guess what? I closed my salon after having a beautiful salon on Newbury Street where my employees could do my hair, where Joanna could do my hair. And I knew who was good in that city. I knew who could really do hair. I knew who did great eyebrows. I was dialed in because one, I owned my own high profile, very luxurious salon, and two, this was my business. So I move away from Boston and I moved to Arizona, and I had seen Hair by Chrissy. Along the way, my husband and I were living in Malibu for the winter, and I was seeing Jennifer Aniston's colorist. His name is Michael Canale. Michael Canale did my hair. It was beautiful. It was very, very blonde. It was still healthy, no extensions, 22-inch long hair. And by the way, Michael Canale, he's amazing. He works in the Pacific Palisades, but I think he might be working in West Hollywood right now because of the fires. Anyway, Michael Canale is amazing. He charges less than half of what Hair by Chrissy charges, or what you get charged when you think you're booking an appointment. I can't even say it with a straight face, with Hair by Chrissy. And his hair that he does is great. Michael does your hair. Michael listens to you during your consult. And he's just a super down to earth person. Does he work on tons of celebrities? Yes, 100% he does. But he has no attitude. He's lovely. He remembers you. Everybody's very friendly. So it's like this amazing experience. So my husband and I moved to Arizona. And I thought, well, I could fly back to LA and get my hair done. Michael does it really well. But at the time, because I was having health problems, I thought, I should just find someone here. And I've seen, a ton. I hadn't had that much time to like investigate and ask anybody, but I had seen Hair by Chrissy's pictures and I was like, okay, I think I'll go to that place. Like, looks like the pictures are pretty. I'll go there. So this is where it starts. I book an appointment with Chrissy, right? I book an appointment with Chrissy because, first of all, as a salon owner, as somebody that has won multiple awards myself, that doesn't mind paying top dollar to get my hair done because I don't want it done poorly. Let me just be real. This has been my job for decades. So I don't mess around, excuse my language, but I am willing to pay top dollar to get things done properly. I don't really care about price when it comes to my hair because that's what I do for a living, right? So I book an appointment supposedly with Chrissy. I have a back and forth with somebody, in a text message that doesn't really correct their texting very well. I show my hair color. We talk about it. Okay, it's going to be $900. All right, fine. If I fly to LA, I'm going to have to get a ticket. I'm going to have to get an Uber. That's fine. I'll pay that. It seems really expensive. It's actually even more than I charged, and I charged a lot for my appointments. Yes, my corrections easily did walk out for $1,000, but that wasn't my base price. And here's the funny thing. For the past 20 years, my hair was basically almost the same. I was super careful about what I did with my hair because I know, as someone that is in the hair color business, as someone that has tons of experience, I know that if you want to wear your hair this long, you can't just, have it be super blonde and then make it dark and have it be super blonde again. Your hair is going to be damaged. And anybody that tells you that it's not is lying, and they're just going to sell you a ton of extensions. And that's what everybody does. So pretty much my hair is always the same. It was a level 8. It was blonde. It was highlighted, even though my base is dark. That's how I was wearing my hair. I had a pretty lifted base break. And so I booked the appointment and I was really excited about the appointment. I don't have a bad attitude despite all of my experience. I get excited just like everybody else does to get my hair done. I'm like, great. I told my husband that I remember he drove me to Gilbert for my appointment. And I was like, this is going to be so fun. Chrissy's about my age. We can talk salon talk. My salon was actually still open at the time because I was traveling and my salon was still running. And I was like, oh, it's going to be so fun to talk about things. But little did I know how the appointment was actually going to go. I'm definitely going to have to record this again because they're literally drilling outside of my door, but whatever, it's fine. So I get to the appointment, and here's how the appointment basically went. First of all, they want to take 1 million before photos of you when you come in. And here's the thing, if I'm paying $900, I don't want to be on your Instagram. I don't want to be your little advertisement for your business. I don't want to be in a TikTok video. I don't need that. I'm paying top dollar. If you want to take a picture of the back of my hair, not my face, go for it. but that was already unappealing to me. Um, and then it's just it's different. I'm from the Northeast. We don't do things quite like that. We just don't do things like that. So basically, for the appointment, Chrissy never found out that I was an award-winning hair colorist. From what I know, we never really had a conversation. She came over to my chair, I would say for about 60 seconds. And all she said, she touched my hair and was like, "Oh, it's so dry and orange. It feels like straw." And I was taken aback. When I worked as a hair colorist, sure, could you see someone's hair and think, "Oh, it's really dry," or "This is so damaged"? But there's a few things that as a professional I like to do. One is to be polite, two is to be tactful, because let's face it, saying bad things about someone's hair is just rude. So first impressions was, or my first impression was just, wow, this person is very uncouth as a human being. This is not a classy place. And indeed it was not. And that was just about all she said. I came in with my color formula. I knew exactly what I wanted for placement. I never really talked to Chrissy. Chrissy never listened to what I wanted. I was mid-sentence and she left while I was mid-sentence, just walked away and never came back. When I tell you I've never seen anything like this, let's just say if I had an assistant that didn't listen to clients, didn't do their own work. If I had a stylist that worked for me, that worked like that, they would be, first of all, reprimanded. They wouldn't have a job because I trained everybody on what to do. My general rule in my salon was that my time was very expensive. My clients were super successful women. They were paying top dollar. And I said, I want to provide them with a great value. So when someone is talking to me in my salon, when I'm talking to a client, I must never be interrupted. I must give the client my full attention. Their appointment is not something, don't interrupt me for a phone call. Don't interrupt me for a rep. Don't interrupt me because someone is stopping in. That time is their time. But in the case of this appointment, literally she was at my chair for just a second and then she was gone. And you could just see like a really tiny, super mega tan person kind of flitting around the salon. There were like halo lights, makeup artists, things like that. And I'm just gonna be honest, I'm too old for this. And I would like, it's just not even I'm too old for this. I don't believe in spending money for a subpar service. I don't believe in going to businesses that don't act professional. And this was not professional at all. It was like, I wish I had flown to LA, but it gets better. So I consulted with the assistants. I still thought she was doing my hair. I had no idea. And it was so shocking and I should have walked out, but I didn't because it was like, it was so unexpected. I didn't know what to do. So I said, I like my blonde hair. I don't want to be dark. I would be shocked if I was dark. I just want a few lowlights. I don't want it dark. I will be really unhappy if I'm dark. Keep in mind, I was a level 8 with my hair color. I'm going to put in some pictures later. You may have seen the picture that I put up. When I walked into Hair by Chrissy, this was my hair. My natural hair with no extensions. I loved it. I just wanted a few. Michael Canale had done it. I just wanted a few pieces that were darker. And so I gave them my formula and let them know what I wanted. I don't know if Chrissy ever even put in one single foil. I'm not sure, but I don't think she put in one single foil. I don't think she ever came back. And so here's where it gets really weird. As somebody that trained in London, as someone that trained all over the place for what I did, first of all, 2 assistants did my hair, one on either side. You might not know this if you're not in the hair business. if you have two people, first of all, not the person you booked with, not the person you wanted, I would never in a million years book with a junior stylist. Sorry, it's not what I would do. It's like, why would I book with someone who's not as good as I am? Not going to. Two people doing your hair on either side is not going to be even. Each person, when they're coloring hair, does it differently. So if you have one person doing the right side of your hair and you have one person doing the left side of your hair, guess what? Your hair is not going to be good. In my salon, I had two personal assistants always to help me. But guess what? They didn't do the appointment. They greeted the client at the door. They gave them a robe to change into, made them an espresso, showed me the client's color card, which I had made the formula for. I did the consult. I spoke to the client. I oversaw the color formulation mixing. I trained them to mix color. I applied the color myself. It was never an assistant. It was never an assistant behind my chair. So if you booked my highlight in one process started at $550. That was for a touch-up. That wasn't for a new client that needed any kind of correcting. That was a touch-up appointment. And that was without a blow dry, without Olaplex, without anything else that you were getting. But guess what? Bridget didn't do it. Erica didn't do it. I did it. So shocking to see that. And I looked it up on my phone. I looked up the girl's name on my phone when they were doing my hair. Now that person was available to be booked for hundreds and hundreds of dollars less. So if I wanted that person that wasn't Hair by Chrissy to do my hair, why wouldn't I have just booked with that person? Now I will say, it's interesting. I was asking ChatGPT, is it even legal to say that, someone is booking an appointment with someone and then not do it? And I think it's a little bit of a gray area. I mean, personally, I think it's not good business. That's just me. It's not what I would do, but it's your business. You do what you want. It's an odd practice, right? Like if you book and you see someone's name, you're obviously choosing someone and then they don't do the color. So it was odd. They give you a little disclaimer, a little notice before you come in, and it says assistants are going to work on your hair too. And I thought, well, yeah, they're going to shampoo you, right? They're probably going to glaze your hair. They'll do little things for her. But it didn't say, hey, just so you know, she's not going to do your hair. Because it's not Hair by Chrissy. It's Hair with Chrissy in the vicinity. I mean, for all I know, she could have stepped out of the salon when I was getting my hair done with her because it wasn't done with her at all. So I will say, even though my hair turned out horribly, the worst it's ever been, the worst I've ever seen it in my entire life, you couldn't have paid me $3,000 to get that hair color because it was so bad. And it wasn't fixable, by the way, because when it's that bad, you can't just fix it. And I'll explain why. So you couldn't have paid me to do it, but it wasn't really her that did the bad hair color because she didn't do my hair at all. So the girls work on my hair. I see so many foils in my hair. And when we make it over to the shampoo sink, I hear them talking behind me and I'm sitting there listening. And one of them said, so what did you do to her hair? And the other one said, it's all lowlights. And I sat up and said, I came in for a highlight retouch. I'm a level 8. I said I wanted tiny amount of lowlights, like no more than 5. If this is all lowlights, then I have 150 lowlights in my hair. And guess what? It was all lowlights. Even though I asked for basically, let's say 99% highlights, they didn't put one highlight in my hair. Not only that, but then they put a dark color on my entire head, at least from what I could see. So I am 49 years old. I was a hair colorist for 24 years and never, not since I was in my late 20s, did I ever wear my hair dark brown. Never, ever. It was always if Jennifer Lopez would wear that color, that's the color that my hair was, until I went to Hair by Chrissy. And they decided to just make my hair a level 4 without my permission. But it wasn't Chrissy, it was her assistants. So I already know my hair is ruined. At that point, I already know it's ruined. So I go into the bathroom and my hair is wet. And of course, I'm a hair colorist. I'm a salon owner. I can look at hair and know exactly what it looks like when it's wet. And when I tell you that I was shocked when I saw the color of my hair, it was so incredibly dark. It was so incredibly not what I wanted. I walked in with hair that I loved, and it was a disaster. So at that moment, I texted my husband, who was picking me up, and I said, please don't even comment on what my hair looks like, because it's horrible. It's extremely dark. And I, I can't even, you won't believe this experience. So they blow dry my hair. They wanted to like curl it or do something. And I was like, no, 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 we're not doing any kind of pictures. We're not doing this. I don't want my hair curled. And when I went up to the desk, I spoke to the receptionist and I said, I am shocked by how my hair looks. This is not what I asked for. This is not what I wanted. What are you doing? Literally, like I was shocked, and I didn't yell because of course I'm not going to yell. And she said, well, maybe you should have brought pictures in. And I said, not only did I bring pictures in, I brought in my hair, which looked the way that I wanted it to look. I wanted a retouch. I wanted a few soft lowlights. I told you the formula, and you guys just did whatever you wanted. And she said, well, I can book you something next week to fix it. Now, here's what I want everybody to understand. Because you might not know this. If you're not a hair colorist, if you don't have a background in this and you haven't been fixing hair for over 20 years of your life and done 20,000 plus color corrections, once you've taken someone's hair that was bright blonde and you make it dark by putting dark color on their entire head, it can't be fixed. Think about it this way. Once you cook a steak, once you take it from medium rare to well done, you can't take it back to medium rare. That hair is done. That hair is cooked, and it will never be the same hair, and it can never be lightened again. You can lighten it if you want, but do you think you're going to have the same quality? Do you think your hair will ever look the way it looked? By the time you grow it out to 22 inches and it's healthy, it's not happening again. So this was 3 years ago. They offered to fix it, and here's my general rule. And I always told clients this as well. And I told friends this if they ever had a mistake made with their hair. If someone does your hair and it is very far off from what you wanted, never, never, ever trust them with your hair again. I mean, for me, I would never let anybody in that salon lay a hand on my hair again after that experience. And maybe they can do a good job, but there was no consult, obviously. Nobody listened. I gave them my color formula. I showed them various pictures. And it's not like I was a regular client, right? I wasn't trying to use names like cinnamon, or if you look on their Instagram, they're using little like catchy phrases. I don't even know what they call things, but like teddy bear blonde or what have you. That's not actually how hair colorists speak. We speak in numbers, we speak in tones, and we speak technically because it's art and science. So once somebody takes your hair that far from what you wanted, if somebody does your hair and you wanted a few more highlights, or you wanted it just a tiny bit ashier, but they basically listened to you and they were closer to what you wanted, not further away, then sure. If it's not unusual to have a hairstylist, like have I had clients that, oh, you know what, I'd like a little bit more brightness around my face. Absolutely, that's easy. But I can absolutely say with certainty that I never took someone in my entire career and just made their hair dark and they didn't want it. Never, not once. You better be darn sure when you take a client and you make their hair much darker that they want it, because if you didn't, making hair lighter is not easy. It's not damage free. It's expensive. Sure, could you maybe do their hair again, fry it, and then charge them for extensions? Well, that's one way you could do it, isn't it? But if you're a good hairstylist that cares about the health and integrity of your client's hair, you're not going to do that. And so what I was left with was very, very dark, murky hair. That this is what my hair looked like when I walked. This is like that. You can't even see it. I'm going to put this picture in later. It was an absolute train wreck. It was the worst hair color that I've ever had in my entire life. As a colorist that had the pleasure of always having top people do it, and it was $900. Gosh, I wish they could stop drilling, but I'll just record this again for I'm going to put this up as an actual video later, but my building is under construction. It's brand new. Anyway, $900. She didn't do my hair. And looking back, I should have actually disputed it, but it was such a shocking experience. And I had so much going on in my life that I just kind of chalked it up to, well, that was an absolute waste of money. But watching the entire thing unfold, I just wanted to give an actual professional, award-winning hair colorist's view of what happened. I don't think Chrissy ever knew I was a 2-time Best Colorist of Boston award-winning stylist, because she never talked to me. She books probably, I don't know exactly what she does, but what I would assume is she books a lot of people at the exact same time. And perhaps, this is just a guess because I didn't talk to her enough to know if it's true or not, maybe she might have 5 appointments going at the same time. I had 1 appointment going at the same time. And then of course that client would process and I would have another appointment going. But if you're going to book an appointment and it's not with you, that should be specified as a professional and as truth in advertising. I worked with Beth Minardi quite a bit. She's a famous hairstylist in New York. And Beth had something called Studio by Beth, where you could book with another stylist, and for a little bit more money, Beth would do your consult. She would do your color formula. She would look at your skin tone and she would say what would look great, and then someone else would do it. I think that's totally, completely fine. Somebody wants Beth's color formula, but they know that Beth isn't actually doing the work. But I think where it gets really dicey, and just in my view, it's not something that I ever would have done, is to let people think that you're going to do their hair and then just not do it. And I don't know, because it was never said to me, but probably if I had had a deeper conversation, they might have said, I don't know, oh, well, you saw something, that we weren't necessarily going to do your hair. Well, that's not how any other appointment works anywhere else. I mean, if you go to like Salon 90 in LA is an awesome salon. A lot of celebrities go there, and I will just say the colorists are absolute phenomenal professionals. Like if you're going to fly somewhere, fly there, or fly to see Michael Canale or something like that. But those people are doing your hair. Booking under your name and not doing it is not okay. It's just not okay. So that's my experience of getting my hair done by Hair by Chrissy. It was basically exactly the same, not exactly, very, very, very similar as that young influencer, except I didn't have an extension install. But it was a terrible experience. I had to get my hair corrected, which took several expensive appointments after, obviously not at that salon because I would never go back. And my hair condition has not been the same since, because it has to grow out. I mean, unfortunately, my hair was super, super blonde, brought to dark, and it had to be lightened up again. So at this point, I can't even wear my hair as light as it was when I went in, because it won't tolerate being as light as it was. So that is my professional opinion. The way I ran my salon was each client got personal attention. When you came to my salon on Newbury Street, if you booked an appointment, lots of people wanted to come see me, especially every year that I won that award, I got more and more clients. And I did their hair and I spent time with them and I listened to them. And if something couldn't be done, I would tell them. And I told them reasonably, this is how long it's going to take to get your hair to look like this, or maybe even this isn't the style that I do. I'm going to recommend you to someone else because that's professional to do. But what I never did is I never, ever, ever passed them off to my assistant, and I never had my assistant do my foiling. Although my assistants were bookable in the salon for services. So my experience at that salon was that it was really shocking. And I would, it's not how I ran my salon, and it's not a salon that I would ever go back to. I have a friend now. So I actually ran into one of my friends that used to work right near me on Newbury Street, and she colors my hair now in Scottsdale, and she's a phenomenal colorist who actually listens, who respects the integrity of your hair. and she does it. When you book the appointment, guess what? She actually is there and she does the appointment. So that is my experience. If you've been there, maybe the only thing I can think of, and this is again, this is just, it's speculation, right? I have no idea. She might really do hair sometimes, right? It's totally possible. I can't say. She might be a good hair colorist. I have no idea because I have no idea what hair she does and what hair she doesn't. But I think what I would say is that probably the name Hair by Chrissy may not be an accurate description of what she does. So I would probably just call it like you're getting your hair done at Chrissy's salon, but not with Chrissy. So hope this was helpful to you if you're curious about the drama. I'm not a dramatic person, but I've kind of sat on this story for years and it was a massive waste of time, money, and hair health. So anyway, comment below if you have had a less than perfect experience getting your hair colored. I'd love to hear it. Thanks, guys. Bye.